It was Lexie Hull who summed it up best when asked what fueled her effort. She didn't speak like someone searching for clichés. She spoke like someone who felt the weight of every possession. "We want to win," she said plainly. "We want to keep playing. We want another game in Vegas. That's what we're fighting for. We don't want our season to end." Those words weren't just sound bites. They were the heartbeat of a team that had been written off by analysts, underestimated by oddsmakers, and overlooked by nearly everyone outside their locker room. The odds were brutal. ESPN's panel didn't give them a chance. Commentators picked the aces with the kind of certainty that comes when talent and reputation are on one side and exhaustion and injuries are on the other. Vegas had A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and the aura of champions who had done this before. The Fever had desperation, urgency, and a city clinging to hope, and sometimes that's all you need. Heading into Game 4, this was supposed to be the end. The 6th-seeded Fever had been surviving elimination games since the playoffs began, holding on by a thread. But this was different. They were facing the 2-time defending champions with only 9 healthy players left, their star rookie on the sidelines, and critics predicting a blowout. But Gainbridge Fieldhouse wasn't ready to let go. The energy inside that building felt like a storm waiting to break. From the opening tip, the Fever played like a team possessed. Aaliyah Boston planted herself in the paint and made A'ja Wilson, the league MVP, work for every bucket. Wilson would finish with 31 points, but they weren't easy. Every touch was contested, every drive met with resistance, every shot shadowed by Boston's strength. On the other end, Boston hammered away, racking up 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. It was a performance that drew comparisons to Tamika Catchings, the kind of two-way dominance Indiana hadn't seen in years. Kelsey Mitchell shouldered the offense with fearlessness. Time after time, she cut through double teams, drilled mid-range jumpers, and attacked the rim. She finished with 25 points, but the numbers only told part of the story. With every clutch shot, with every free throw under pressure, Gainbridge Fieldhouse erupted with MVP chants that echoed through the rafters. For Mitchell, who had spent 8 years in Indiana enduring losing seasons, heartbreak, and even personal tragedy with the loss of her father, this was vindication. She had stayed through the darkness, through the years where the Fever barely scraped together wins, and now, on this stage, she was finally being recognized as the star she had always been, and while Mitchell carried the scoring load, she wasn't alone. Odyssey Sims, who had been a ghost in Game 3 with a 0-for-7 performance, came roaring back in Game 4. She scored 18 points on 6-for-9 shooting, slashing into the lane and forcing the Aces to collapse defensively. Her aggression opened the floor for Mitchell and Boston, proving once again that redemption is always one game away. Chapetti added her own steadying presence. Just 7 points, but 2 crucial steals and a calming influence when possessions threatened to unravel. Veterans don't need flash. They need poise, and Petty provided it in spades. Then there was Lexie Hull, the heartbeat of Indiana's defense. Still nursing a painful back injury after being body slammed by Wilson earlier in the series, she refused to sit this one out. Instead, she transformed into the defensive engine the Fever needed. She chased Jackie Young all over the floor, disrupted passing lanes for 4 steals, and added 7 rebounds. On offense, she chipped in 7 points, but her true impact came in the hustle plays, diving on the floor, saving layups with weak side help, and fighting for every loose ball. She embodied the phrase, "we over me," setting a tone that spread across the entire roster. By halftime, the Fever weren't just hanging around. They were dictating the pace. They frustrated Vegas into sloppy mistakes, forced turnovers, and controlled tempo with precision. And then came the moment that told everyone watching that Indiana wasn't just surviving, they were taking control. Becky Hammon, the Aces head coach, burned a timeout she didn't have. The technical foul that followed turned into a momentum swing that electrified Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The champs looked rattled. The Fever looked fearless. The balance of power had shifted. Every possession in the second half felt heavier. The Aces leaned on Wilson, hoping her MVP form would bail them out, but Indiana countered with relentless discipline. Boston banged inside. Hull hounded on the perimeter. Sims cut through defenders, and Mitchell closed, calmly knocking down the shots that ended runs and silenced doubt. When the final buzzer sounded, Indiana had done the unthinkable. They hadn't just won. They had sent the defending champions back to Vegas for a Game 5 that nobody outside of Indiana thought would ever happen. The locker room afterward was pure celebration. Music blaring. Players shouting, joy spilling out of every corner. But beneath the noise was a quiet recognition. The job wasn't done. "Earned, not given," one player shouted into the cameras. One more. "We can do it." It wasn't arrogance. It was belief. A belief forged in months of hardship, injuries, and setbacks that never broke this team. What made the night even more emotional was what Lexie Hull said about Kelsey Mitchell. In a moment of honesty that hit fans like a gut punch, she spoke about her longtime teammate, about the years Mitchell had carried this franchise through futility and pain. "She deserves her flowers," Hull said. It was raw. It was real. And it summed up everything this playoff run meant. For years, Mitchell had been overlooked, her greatness buried beneath losing seasons and national indifference. Now, finally, the world was paying attention. For Fever fans, it was impossible not to get emotional. Mitchell wasn't just scoring points. She was carrying the history of a franchise desperate for a new chapter. Her father's loss, her loyalty to Indiana, her resilience through disappointment, all of it poured into this moment. Every jumper, every free throw, every MVP chant was bigger than the game itself. It was validation that the struggle had never been wasted. But make no mistake, as powerful as this win was, it was only step 4 of a 5-step gauntlet. The Fever had pushed the defending champs to the brink, but the ultimate test loomed in Las Vegas. The Michelob Ultra Arena would be hostile, deafening, and unforgiving. The Aces would be desperate, wounded pride fueling their every move. Wilson, already the fastest player in WNBA history to 1,000 playoff points, would not go quietly. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum would come hunting. Chelsea Gray, if healthy, would settle the offense and test Indiana's perimeter defense. Everything Indiana had done in Game 4, they would need to do again. Only louder, tougher, sharper. For the Fever, the formula was clear. Keep Wilson working on both ends by feeding Boston. Trust Mitchell in the clutch. Let Sims attack off the bounce. And let Hull set the defensive tone, no matter how much pain she felt in her back. If those pieces held, Indiana's underdog story could become one of the greatest playoff upsets the league had ever seen. If they faltered, Vegas would punish them without mercy. But here's the thing. Indiana has already proven they thrive in desperation. 3 times this postseason, they've faced elimination. 3 times they've walked out alive. They feed on pressure. They believe in chaos. And when the lights burn brightest, they don't flinch. That's what makes Game 5 so dangerous for Vegas. The Aces have the pedigree, the hardware, the stars, but the Fever have nothing to lose. They've already exceeded expectations. They've already reminded the WNBA that Indiana basketball is alive and well. What happens next could define an era. Win and the Fever make their first finals appearance in a decade, cementing themselves as a franchise reborn. Lose, and the pain of the journey still transforms into a foundation for the future. Because Caitlin Clark will be back. The roster will be deeper. And this run has already proven that Indiana isn't just a team clinging to survival. They're building something real, something lasting. For now, though, all eyes turn to Las Vegas. 1 game, 1 chance, 1 ticket to the finals. The Fever have already defied every prediction, silenced every critic, and flipped every narrative. But the question remains, can the team nobody believed in walk into the champion's house and shock the world one more time? Fans, this is the moment to rally. Comment, "I've got the Fever," to show your love for this team. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because whether Indiana makes history or not, this story is far from finished.